Hello everyone. Good evening or good afternoon wherever you're at. Najumu here, and today we are once again continuing more of TYRION CUTHBERT, Attorney of the Arcane. So a little bit of a recap. We're still continuing from case 2, and we did a bit of the first investigation and our first courtroom proceedings. We did manage to learn a little bit more about Wallace, in the fact that he's a necromancer, and the fact that the headmaster who was killed was actually moved, but I mean, I wouldn't say actually moved by herself, but she was controlled after she was killed and moved from the crime scene. And that was probably the biggest reason why Wallace is still getting the blame here. But we still have a bit more time in order to investigate a little bit more, and we're going to meet up with Eris again. And after the end of the last stream, we saw that Celeste was a little bit iffy towards Eris. I mean, she's actually, even when you look at her, like, with her bandaged arms and her, like, very, how can I say this, kind of creepy expression. Yeah, you feel she has kind of an ominous aura to her. And then maybe we might get an explanation on why these random glitches happen when other characters are speaking something. Like, if you actually watched the previous stream and the one before it, when we were starting chapter 2, there were some scenes where the text or basically the dialogue actually changed. I wonder if Eris is the one who's actually behind this. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see, though. So, without further ado, let us continue. Alright, episode 2-4. Now we're gonna go to the cemetery. Also, Rayquaza, hello, welcome. You're doing well. Tyrion, what are we doing here? I'm not sure. For some reason, you felt drawn to this place. Wait, is that Eris? Celeste points further into the cemetery. There, you see Eris standing in front of a gravestone. She's placing flowers on it and appears to be chanting a short prayer. Well, you found her. We should probably talk to her later. I'm good. How about you? I'm doing pretty well. Not as tired as usual, but I could actually go a bit longer today when it comes to streaming this game tonight, but we'll see. Maybe we can finish the case earlier. Who knows? It would be rude to disturb her now. As you're about to leave, Eris suddenly turns to face you. She's far away, but you can see her beckoning you over. Oh, hello there. Were you two looking for me? Sorry, we were looking for you. We understand if you'd rather talk later. No, I was just finishing up here. Did you have something you wanted to talk to me about? Well, we wanted to ask you some questions about the case. Oh? Let's talk the trial. That was my first time watching a court trial. You were truly remarkable. Thank you. Were you in the gallery? I've always enjoyed watching physical battles in the theater, but I see now that battles of wits can be just as entertaining to watch. Entertaining? Yeah, I know what you mean. You see, the odds are stacked against him. But then he suddenly pulls up this crazy deduction and steers the trial in his favor. I've never really thought of it like that. But I'm sure it's far more entertaining to be the one making the deductions. I'm not really sure what you mean. I practice law so that I can help those persecuted by the justice system. I don't really do it to entertain myself. Is that really true? Don't you find the experience even the least bit of entertaining, Tyrion? Oh! You saw that? You saw that expression change, and then the glitch happened? She is definitely responsible for this. Wouldn't really put it that way. You're far too modest. You save people from the clutches of death. To your clients, you might as well be a knight in shining armor. Illusion magic. Earlier you said you were studying illusion magic. I am. Did you want to ask me about the prosecution's theory? Yes, actually. How did you know? It was easy to guess after seeing you in the courthouse. Anyways, disguising as an undead with an illusion is definitely possible. And as Lady Steelwind said, illusory disguise would be the best spell to use for that. What if someone created a freestanding illusion? A freestanding illusion? Yeah. We know that Wallace didn't animate and disguise the professor's corpse. So, what if the illusion wasn't disguising anything? Maybe someone created a freestanding illusion of Bellwether walking around. For something like that, one would probably use Major Illusion. Creates a three-dimensional illusion. Illusion can take the form of any object or creature that can be contained in a 10-foot cube. While concentrating, the caster can animate and move the image to a different location within range. Illusion is purely visual and cannot be physically touched. Okay. Major illusion. What is it? I don't think major illusion is what we're looking for. Do you remember what Jan said? I was cleaning a mess in the hallways. Bellwether knocked over a base. There were shards and dirt everywhere. If the bellwether that Jan saw was a major illusion, then she couldn't have knocked over that vase. Illusions created by that spell doesn't have any mass. I see. How perceptive of you. Aren't there any other illusion spells that do have mass? No, illusions can only recreate visual and auditory sensations. But there isn't a single illusion spell that someone can touch. So that means someone disguised something to make it look like Bellwether. Why the look of suspicion, Celeste? Sorry, I wasn't... Calm down. I'm only joking. I don't blame you for considering every possibility. In fact, I'm flattered you think I'm capable of pulling such an elaborate ruse. Anyways, this does tell us one important thing. What's that? The bellwether that Jan saw had a physical mass to it. It wasn't a freestanding illusion. It was someone or something disguised as Bellwether. Jan's statement has been updated in your notes. Anything else? Gravestone. It's quite a shame, isn't it? Harris looks pensively at the gravestone. The name on the stone says Emily Grant, and her lifetime appears to be awfully short. She must have been only 12 years old when she died. Sorry for interrupting you. Was she someone you knew? Not personally. I'm actually here on Wallace's behalf. Wallace knew her? Wallace joined the Academy as part of a program run by Headmaster Redmond. At the time, the Headmaster was reaching out to mages among the common folk. He had started a program to admit these mages to the Academy without having to pay tuition. Both Emily and Wallace were among those mages. Wow, that must have been an amazing opportunity for him. The truth is, neither of them actually cared about learning magic. The real problem was that Emily had a terminal illness. She and Wallace were poor orphans, and they obviously didn't have the resources to treat it. But if they enrolled in the Academy would be obligated to give her medical treatment. The Imperial Academy teaches the best mages in the kingdom. They thought that curing her illness would be an easy task for the Academy's healers. But they were mistaken, I'm afraid. I'm sure you know this by now, but healing spells can only treat wounds. They can't cure illnesses. Emily's condition only got worse over the years, and eventually she succumbed to her illness. Wallace was furious. He didn't understand why the kingdom was outlawing magic that could save lives. And that's why he decided to learn it himself. Yes, Headmaster was inspired by Wallace's resolve. He gave him access to the Academy's forbidden tomes of necromancy. And Wallace taught himself the spells that he knows today. So, that's why. It was supposed to stay a secret between him and the Headmaster. Oh man, that switch in expression? I don't know what's going on with this girl. But I'm sure you know how that turned out. Can we examine? It's a grave for an individual that you don't know. It'd be best to leave it undisturbed. It's the grave of Emily Grant. It's a shame that she died so young. To briefly say a brief prayer to Bahamut. Is there anything else? Can we use magic?
Arcanum.
Nope. Oh, actually present something? Yeah, we can't do that. Yeah, this doesn't work. I mean, we'll just present stuff. See what's... Maybe we could give it a testimony? One more thing. Gotta check one more thing. What about the sisters? Can we actually... Oh, doesn't seem like it. But I guess we can move. Let's go to the foyer. Investigation. Still a lot we don't know. Yeah. We know that Wallace didn't kill her. But did the true killer really murder her there? Right. Need to go there to find out more. Where should we go next? Prosecution believes that Wallace killed Bellwether in the library. We didn't really investigate that room the first time around. Might be able to find some new leads there. Okay, so let's go to the library. Oh, it's you, Mr. Cuthbert. Steelwind? What are you doing here? After what happened at the trial yesterday, I decided it would be best to start my investigation here. Right. Wallace was in the library for the entire morning, so it would make sense that she'd start her search here. Actually, since I have you here, have you seen Eris Ilmater anywhere? It's my understanding that you're both acquainted with each other. Eris? What do you want with her? It's not for anything serious, mind you. It's just that Oath of a Commander lost her spell compendium. Now we need her to produce another one for our records. If you see her, please let her know that we'd like to speak to her. We saw her earlier in the cemetery nearby. I have no idea where she is now. Once again, I have to compensate for that idiot's mistakes. Anyways, I was wondering if I could ask you some questions about the case. Very well. I suppose I still need to honor our deal from earlier. Have you had any luck finding the scene of the crime? Unfortunately, I haven't. On the witnesses' testimonies, we have a rough idea of the route Bellwether took, but none of the rooms we've checked have any sign of a struggle. Why are you so sure that a struggle happened? I'm mainly basing off the Lannis sisters' testimonies. sorry. Valerie, in particular, noticed that the bleeding came from a wound in her stomach. Regrettably, the body's wounds were mended, so we can't determine what kind of weapon the murderer used. During the trial, you mentioned that another witness saw Bellwether walking around yesterday. Would you be willing to tell us who that person is? I'm sorry, but I can't tell you that. It caught a little off guard. You've been pretty transparent with your investigation so far. What's changed? I have no obligation to justify myself to you, nor do I have an obligation to help the opposition. We have a deal? Hiding information doesn't exactly seem fair to us. I believe I've given you plenty of information already. So regardless of what I said before, the answer is still no. Her family is dangerous. Eye of Horus catches a stray thought from her. Her family is dangerous? What does that mean? Is there something about this witness's family that you're worried about? No, this could be a feint. I'm sorry, but you'll have to try harder than that if you want to bluff her. She referred to the witness as her. Furthermore, she said that her family is dangerous. Why would she go to such lengths to hide the witness's identity? In any case, looks like she's not willing to share more at the moment. Maybe you should try looking somewhere else. Alright, let's move. Go to the locker room. You spent some time wandering through the academy. You overhear a conversation from a nearby room. From what I understand, Miss Steelwind has already moved the investigation elsewhere. How long must I wait before I can retrieve my things? Sorry, old-timer. Orders are orders. Nothing comes in or out until this case is over and done with. Commander White? And the headmaster too? Oh, hello, Mr. Cuthbert. Hey, kid. In any case, there are other matters I must attend to. Please inform me when I can reclaim my things. Sure. Looks like Commander White is standing guard in front of this locker room. And it doesn't look like he's conducting any sort of investigation. Is he here on Steelwind's orders? Might be able to tell you who the secret witness is. What was that headmaster talking to you about? Supposedly, he has some items stored in one of the faculty lockers. Problem is, Steelwind said no one gets in or out of this room. Except for her and you too, apparently. Won't even let the other knights in here. Really? Is that normal? Nope. But things rarely are when she is calling the shots. Why should give you access to the crime scene if she wasn't even letting the knights in? Steelwind's orders have been added to your notes. With the exception of you, Celeste McCoy, Prosecutor Steelwind's allowing anyone in the key areas of the Academy. She isn't even allowing Knights of the Inquisition in these areas. She appears to be conducting the investigation single-handedly. Seems like she has something to do related to what happened here. I don't know what her deal is, but she's been acting strange lately. She's been real paranoid, that girl. Frankly, can't tell what's going on through her head. You mentioned that the prosecutor has been paranoid lately. Do you think it has something to do with this case? Nah, it started way before that. Lately, she's been using the Inquisition to investigate a lot of non-magical homicides. What? Wouldn't it be easier to work with the relevant law enforcement for that? I don't know why. She's convinced that these cases have magic involved. We scanned each and every one of those crime scenes. Nothing turned up. You have to say, though, if it wasn't for the scans, I might actually agree with her. But do you say that? Those homicides. I haven't ever seen anything like them. Probably some of the most screwed up cases I've ever handled. One of those cases, we had ourselves a disgruntled spouse. Found out that her man was going around with a barkeep. And you know what the spouse does? She stalks the poor woman. She starts leaving threatening notes all around where she worked. Barkeep told the City Watch all about what was happening. No matter how much they staked out the tavern, they could never catch the perp. Then one day, Barkeep arrived home. Little did she know, the spouse was waiting there for her. Poor lady never had a chance. Then to tie the whole thing together, the spouse waits for her husband to get home. Cooks him a big roast, using the barkeep's remains. Ew! Gross! That's absolutely messed up. God damn. Yeah, that lady is beyond help. Wow, that story is pretty... I know. Steven thinks someone's developed a new type of magic that can control people's minds. These homicides were some kind of sick test run. Magic that can control people's minds? But wouldn't Mage Blight make more sense? Mage Blight? When a mage overuses their magic, it can have pretty bad consequences on their mind. They temporarily lose grip of reality, begin seeing things that aren't there. When a mage becomes like that, almost never ends well. They enter a frenzy and begin firing spells randomly, which only makes it worse. I've seen my share of Mage Blight cases. This isn't like that. Not all of the perps were mages. Ones that were didn't even use their magic. One thing was that each of the perps almost seemed to wake up after we arrested them. All of them said things like, "It wasn't me," or "I didn't have a choice." They didn't have a choice? What could that mean? I doubt it means anything. Sometimes people can't face the things they've done. It's easier to say that you had no control than to take responsibility. Wonder if we can mislead the commander into revealing who the secret witness is. During the trial, Miss Steelwood mentioned that someone other than Jan Hughes saw Bellwether walking around. Do you see them around lately? I wanted to speak to them. Nice try, kid. Well, it was worth a shot. Honestly, couldn't tell you if I wanted to. Don't think anyone other than Steelwood knows who this witness is. Sure as hell don't. What? Is she even hiding it from the Inquisition commander? Why is she being so secretive? Looks like the commander doesn't know who the secret witness is either. Ugh, this isn't getting us anywhere. Steelwood's behavior is strange. Perhaps you can try analyzing her behavior. If you do that, you might be able to find a way to convince her to help you. Okay, Steelwind's behavior has been strange this time around. She's hiding elements of the case, even from the commander. Anyone can tell us that she doesn't have much faith in him. I'm standing right here. But this is the first time I've seen her hide key details of a case from. What is motivating Steelwind to keep secrets? There has to be a reason why she's being so secretive. Could it be paranoia? Wait, what are the choices? Arrogance, logic, and paranoia. I'd say paranoia. Yeah. Now, see, it's right. Because when you are trying to be super secretive and like you're scared of revealing information, when you actually revealed information before, then yeah, that's definitely is a sign of fear and paranoia. Her actions must be driven by paranoia. She's been hoarding information about the case. There's only one reason why she wouldn't utilize the Inquisition like she usually does. Because she doesn't trust them. I hate to say it, that doesn't really surprise me. She's always been standoffish with us. But there is one exception. Who has Steelwind trusted for this case? There are individuals who she trusted more than the Inquisition during this case. Let's see. I think? Oh, okay. She let us investigate the crime scenes without any restrictions. Yeah, never really thought about that. Does she trust us that much? I don't think personal trust is the reason. Why does Steelwind trust us this time? We don't usually interact with her, and she worked with the Inquisition on plenty of cases that we weren't involved in. Steelwind is... Oh! Steelwind is capable of using magic? Does that make sense? No. Let's see, which one are we going? Why does Steelwind trust us this time? Let's see. Tyrion is capable of using magic? Is that the one? No. Don't answer to anyone. Tyrion is... Wait, hold on. Steelwind is a member of the faculty? No, that doesn't make any sense. Steelwind is capable. No, no, no. Why does Steelwind trust us this time? They trust them in order to investigate, right? And yeah, there's a key difference between us. We don't answer to anyone. So let's see. And why does Steelwind trust us this time? Because Tyrion is capable So it's either Tyrion or it's either Steelwind. I don't think we can put that there. Tyrion is capable of. Yeah, we already tried that though. Steelwind is a member faculty? No. No. Tyrion isn't a member of the Inquisition. No. Let me read this again. Hold on, guys. Well, she doesn't trust them. I hate to say that doesn't surprise me. Individuals who trust you. Let's investigate it. Like, does he trust us that much? I don't think personal trust is the reason. Tyrion is no. Yeah, it's paranoia. She's paranoid. She actually trusts you. Tyrion is capable. We already tried. is capable of using magic? No. Nah, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, we don't answer to anyone. Controlled by? Hmm? Is that right? No. That doesn't sound right. Hmm? No, we can't say that. Wallace? Oh boy, why am I getting stumped here? To think a bit more. So, she doesn't trust the Inquisition, but she actually trusts Tyrion and Celeste. Let me see. Isn't controlled by the faculty? No, it doesn't make any sense. Isn't controlled by the... Wait. Maybe it's this? Oh! Okay! Steelwind doesn't know much about us, but she does know that we aren't prone to noble corruption. Right. He indicted a noble during the last case. Meanwhile, the Inquisition usually bends to the nobility's whims. Well, can't argue with you there. What can you infer about the secret witness? Using my insight, I could tell that she's worried about the witness's family. And if she's worried about corruption from the nobility, that can only mean one thing. The witness is a suspect? No. The witness... Oh wait, isn't the noble. Okay. The witness is a murderer? That doesn't work. Steelwind. Oh wait, the witness is a student. No? Witness has to belong to a noble family. That's why she's so wary of interference. But we're obviously not going to do anything corrupt. Why is she hiding the witness's identity from us? Recall seeing a thought through the eye. So regardless of what I said before, the answer is still no. And she said her family's dangerous. I think she's worried about our safety. Yeah, I guess harassing a noble could put you in danger. But I'm the protege of the infamous Ruby Timora. Yeah, it's not as if we aren't already on the nobility's bad side. I'm sure the Pierce family still has it out for us. This can only mean that the family we're dealing with is even more powerful than House Pierce. The prosecutor is wary of them. They could be even as powerful as the Steelwinds. Wait! Don't tell me you think we're dealing with one of the 4 pillars. 4 pillars? It's the name people use for the top 4 noble houses. These families stand at the top of the kingdom's aristocracy. If I recall correctly, 4 pillars are House Frega, House Bonsanctus, House Sybil, and House Steelwind. Steelwind is a part of one of them? Yeah, which makes it so much weirder that she's serving as a prosecutor. 4 pillars families have been added to your notes. Ooh. What is it? Steelwind's weird behavior all started after she investigated this room. We were at the crime scene, and she left to follow a lead. An hour later, she came back to the lecture hall and booted everyone out. Her behavior changed after investigating this room? That means she found something here. That something must point to a family from the 4 pillars. Commander looks a bit anxious. You know, Steelwind's orders say I can't snoop around here. You two, on the other hand, don't worry. Just leave it to us. I have some school records that say which locker belongs to which student. You can use it to tell whose locker you're looking at. Alright. Oh, there's an arcane construct in the back there. It's probably here to aid the students. Anyways, I don't think it's relevant to our investigation. But perhaps you should make a small note of it anyways. Construct in the locker room has been added to your notes. You use the legend that the commander gave you. You look carefully across the list and find some notable student names. Alright, let's look at Wallace. You open Wallace's locker. Inside, you find a bottle of fragrant liquid and something that looks like a makeup kit. Huh? Didn't expect Wallace to use stuff like this. It does seem strange, but it's not your place to judge. Anyways, you try looking through the other lockers. You open the locker with Miriam Frega's ID number. Inside, you find a stack of worn-out textbooks and notebooks. Wait a minute. These notebooks all have Wallace's name on them. Open the notebook and look through its pages. Appears to be research on the art of necromancy. These are Wallace's notebooks. But why are they in Miriam Frega's locker? Did Miriam steal his things? What's going on here? You and Celeste check the locker more thoroughly. Wait a minute. Tyrion, take a look at this. That's blood. Evidence in the locker room has been added to your notes. Use the legend that the commander gave you. Alright, go check more. You open Jaden von Sanctus's locker. Inside, you find several bottles of some kind of transparent lotion. There's nothing here but lotion in here. Oh, I wonder why a student would need this much lotion. Take one of the bottles to inspect it more closely. Oh, wait! Tyrion! Don't touch those with your hands! Some kind of sanitizing liquid. A little strange. Doesn't seem to be related to the case. Alright. We look here. Warren Sybil. You open Warren Sybil's locker. Inside, you find some textbooks and a neatly stacked deck of tarot cards. Oh, it's like those cards that fortune tellers use. One of the students studies divination magic. But anyways, I don't think this is related to the case. Guess that's it. We found a few things, but I can't really make sense of any of it. We should look at this from the prosecutor's perspective. Steelwind found something in one of those lockers. Whose locker had the most suspicious evidence? Whoever that was made her extremely paranoid. Yeah, it's definitely Miriam. No matter how we look at it, we found some insanely suspicious things in Frega's locker. It had Wallace's notebooks, even some blood. That blood is certainly strange. It implies that something bloody was stored here. Do you think someone stole it? No, actually. I think it was Steelwind who took it. Oh, right. Laura mentioned she investigated this room. She must have taken the bloody item as an evidence. With that said, there's something else that's strange about Miriam Frega's locker. It had a lot of Wallace's possessions. It's possible that she really did steal these items from him. It's more likely than this locker isn't actually hers. Remember what Wallace told us before? Sometimes the other students would steal the ID number off my locker. Then they'd switch it with the number of another locker. He thought it was funny whenever the student who owned that locker got angry with me. So, someone switched the nameplates? This means that this isn't Miriam Frega's locker. It's Wallace's. That would mean the bloody object came from Wallace's locker. Here so. They updated the evidence. But if that's true, why didn't Steelwind present the bloody item during the trial? It proved that Bellwether was wounded before Valerie healed her. Wouldn't that have been the perfect time to present what she found? It was a bloody item found in the defendant's locker after all. She couldn't have easily proved that the nameplates were switched too. Right. It is weird. There's something more to this than you aren't seeing. But what? I think we'll just have to ask Steelwind ourselves. Alright, I guess I'll go back to her. Oh, you're back. Covered a few things during our investigation. Miss Steelwind, are you acquainted with a student named Miriam Frega? I underestimated him. I said before, Mr. Cuthbert, I won't fall for such an obvious bluff. It's not a bluff, Miss Steelwind, and I'll prove it using the evidence we've gathered. Arya Steelwind's psychological profile is complete. Steelwind is paranoid. Whatever reason is due to the involvement of Miriam Frega. If you could convince her to reveal why she's being so secretive, she might give you more information. Let's go. It's argument time. You have been behaving strangely, Steelwind. Even the Knights of the Inquisition have noticed. Please just tell me, why are you being so paranoid? I'm not sure what you're trying to imply here, Mr. Cuthbert. Nothing about my behavior has changed. I've approached this case objectively, just like I have with every other case. Oh, whoops. Steelwind is extremely logical and won't accept arguments that aren't supported by evidence. However, she's become secretive lately. She's uneasy about the case elements related to Miriam Frega, and she's inclined to hide Frega's involvement from the court at all costs. Alright, let's check the text. Even this profile? No. Ooh. We've already presented this, so I guess that doesn't work. Maybe this? Nope. Nothing about her behavior has changed. Oh, there we go. I should have presented that from early on. You've ordered the Knights to stay away from the crime scene, and you've even taken it upon yourself to conduct the investigation yourself. That is not normal behavior for a prosecutor. I took those actions because the Inquisition is incompetent. How can I possibly trust them with anything? The Knights are incompetent, but even you can see the value of delegation. During Celeste's case, you still delegated tasks to the Inquisition, and you can easily have investigated the McCoy Tavern yourself. The Academy is huge. You wouldn't conduct your investigation this way unless you had a good reason. Then why don't you enlighten me? Why would I act in such a way? What would cause me to behave so strangely? Does this? You know that the Inquisition is corrupt and will bend to the nobility. So, what would happen if a powerful noble were publicly involved in this case? With that noble's influence, they'd probably order the Inquisition to conceal their involvement. A high-profile noble is involved in this case, Steelwind, and I believe that noble is Miriam Frey. Again with this. Do you think you can bluff me by throwing out the names of random nobles? Not every noble is a malevolent criminal like Gareth Pierce. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. My investigation doesn't involve the Freydas. Nothing in this case has anything to do with House Freyda. But what about this, though? Then how do you explain this, Steelwind? The commander told us that you were following a lead in the locker room yesterday. We investigated the lockers of the students from the Four Pillars families. We found stains of blood in a locker with Miriam Freyga's ID number. It was presumably left by a bloody object. The bloody object was taken by someone. We heard that you became extremely paranoid after you found something in the locker room. I had to guess. I'd say you took the bloody object as evidence. And what evidence do you have to support these outrageous claims? What? The only thing you have is evidence of a bloodstain. There's a myriad of explanations for that. Everything else you mentioned is pure speculation. You can't prove that piece of evidence exists. I could have found any number of things in that room, or possibly nothing at all. Okay, so we can appeal and say that it's wrong to hide evidence, but she'll say, I don't care. I don't care. That's my evidence. Let's not be coy, Miss Steelman. Anyone can tell the bloodstain is the most no. That it could be the most notable thing, but it's in a locker. If you don't present what you found in court, I'll have no choice but to pull the owner of that locker onto the stand. Ooh, a threat. I don't think she'll buck from a threat. Right? But she's extremely logical. So I guess if we rationalize it, it may work best compared to the other two. Let's try. Let's not be coy, Steelwind. Anyone can tell the bloodstain is the most notable thing in that room. How are you so sure? You weren't there with me during my investigation. As I've said, any number of things could have happened to change my behavior. Ooh. Maybe we can appeal? You're hiding evidence, Steelwind. Do you not see how wrong that is? You don't have any proof to support your accusations. Show me hard evidence instead of making baseless claims. Well, we lost the argument. Alright, let's do that again. Alright. So it should be this. No. let's speed through this. Yes, it does. Right, time for the threat. Found an object in the locker with Miriam Frega's nameplate on it. If you don't present what you found to the court, I'll have no choice but to pull the owner of that locker onto the stand. That's ridiculous. We both know that the locker in question belongs to Wallace Nightgrave. Can you unequivocally prove that, Miss Steelwind? Because the way I see it, there's a lot of room for doubt there. Enough for doubt for me to pull Miss Frega onto the witness stand. If I had more context, maybe I wouldn't have to resort to that. Argument 1. Well played, Mr. Cuthbert. I suppose I don't have a choice, do I? Successfully persuaded Arya Steelwind. Just so we're clear, wasn't acting to protect the nobility. I'll admit that Miriam Frega was the other witness that saw Bellwether that day. See, I had some suspicions, but there's also another matter. Steelwind looks uneasy. When I was investigating the body, I found this. A tightly packed folder containing several documents. These documents contain evidence of dealing multiple instances of plagiarism, fraud, bribery of school officials, and various other offenses committed by Miriam Frega. Ooh, that is a laundry list of offenses right there. If it was anywhere else, this girl would have been sent to jail, or because probably not jail, but probably a correctional facility because she's still underage. Because, you know, this is a high school. God damn. That's messed up. What the? Looks like Miriam's been cheating at school. Why would Bellwether have something like this? Well, the way it's arranged, I think it might have been blackmail. Miriam Frega is considered a prodigy in the practice of conjuration magic. She won a litany of awards, and she will most definitely graduate with honors. If these files were to reach the public, it would absolutely ruin her reputation. Do you think the professor was trying to threaten her? Fears so. When I discovered this, several elements of the case were still unknown. I decided to look through her belongings, and I mistakenly looked through the locker with her ID. I found this in that locker. Bloody rapier. Ooh. A rapier club covered in blood. It was found in Wallace's Nightgrave's locker. Apparently, it's a valuable heirloom to House Frega. It was reported stolen by Miriam Frega weeks before the murder. It's very likely that this is the murder weapon. This rapier is a very valuable family heirloom for House Frega. And a few weeks ago, Miriam reported that the rapier was stolen from her room. Then it was found in Wallace's locker. Not that I'm complaining, but why didn't you present this in court? To be honest, I'd like to avoid involving House Frega by any means necessary. I knew it! You're just protecting her, aren't you? Miss McCoy, do you recall how Wyvern Guard's justice system works? To acquit a defendant, you need to unequivocally prove that they didn't commit the crime. To do that, they either need a solid alibi, or we need to prove that someone else committed the crime. What do you suppose will happen if you bring Miriam Frege onto the stand? House Frege won't allow one of its members to be indicted in a court of law. They'll plant and forge evidence to implicate your defendant, and they'll use the Inquisition to do so. So that's why you've been keeping them away from the investigation. Can't you do anything? The Steelwinds are powerful too, aren't they? I don't have the support of my house. Right now, just the prosecutor. Nothing more. Steelwind, you know that this isn't fair for us. Just do nothing. Do nothing and let us win. Celeste, we can't go after Miriam. Then you can at least help us save Wallace. I am not going to do that. Why? What if Miriam Frege is the real killer? Her sword is a murder weapon, and Bellwether was trying to blackmail her. I seem to recall another case where an innocent person's sword was used to frame them. That's... As a prosecutor, it's not my place to decide who's guilty and who's not. Won't engage in corruption, even if it is to counter corruption from another noble house. I'm sorry. Do you know where Miriam is right now? Did you hear what I just said? You can't let her think that there's even the slightest possibility you will indict her. She'll bring the entire wrath of House Frege down on you. Regardless, I can't do anything for Wallace unless I know everything that happened. Frege has the last piece I need to put everything together. Well, I suppose I don't have much of a choice, do I? Her dormitory is room 107. I imagine that she'll be there considering the classes are suspended. Thank you, Stephen. I don't tell you. I'm sure you'll probably just find out by using some other means. But please, Mr. Cuthbert, be careful. Oh, okay. Can I actually speed this? Okay, I guess we can go to our dorm room. Alright, let's move. Dorm room 107. Let's go. You follow Miss Steelwind's directions and find Miriam Frege's dorm room. The door leading inside seems a lot more ornately decorated than the other doors. Go to knock on the door. You don't realize that it's only partially closed. As your fist comes in contact with the wood, you accidentally push the door wide open. Excuse me? How dare you barge into my room? Sorry, I meant to knock, but... Construct, remove these hoodlums from my room. Acknowledged. In the corner of the room, an arcane construct stands up and starts making its way toward you. Or you can protest, it raises its fist to hit you. You only have enough time to raise your arms and brace yourself for the impact. Close your eyes and wait for the blow, but instead, you hear the clang of steel against steel. Confused, you open your eyes and Celeste is standing between you and the construct. Her sword is drawn, and she's using it to block the construct's fist. Upon taking a closer look at Celeste, the student stares curiously. Construct, stand down. Acknowledged. I'm terribly sorry for that. I wasn't aware that this was your servant. Celeste looks angry, but puts away her sword without a word. I haven't noticed you around campus. Are you a new student? She has a personal attendant. She must be important. What? I see an opportunity. Yes, my master just enrolled here recently. What? So let's give you a puzzled look. You make a silent gesture back. After a moment, she seems to realize what you're doing. Yes, I just started here. I take it you're Miriam Frege? Yes, I'm honored that you recognize me. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, miss. I'm Celeste. She catches herself and pauses for an awkward moment. McSteelwind! I'm Celeste Steelwind! Can't believe her. There's no way she's going to believe. Steelwind? It's a pleasure to meet another member of such an esteemed house. She must be from a branch family. Maybe I can use her. Wait, she's actually buying this? Oh, wow, she must be just like all looks and no brains. Who knows? So her name is written Celeste and in quotes Steelwind. I just moved in, and I thought that I should introduce myself, seeing as you're a top student in the field of conjuration. Conjuration. Yes. Oh, there's no backing out now. Let's talk to her. Miss Frege, I was wondering if I could ask you some questions about... Excuse me? I don't believe anyone has permitted you to speak. Oh, here we go. Celeste is still smiling, but you can faintly hear her grinding her teeth together. So, we heard about what happened to Professor Bellwether. I can't believe it. Yes, it's quite tragic what happened to her. She has always been an acquaintance of House Frege. Appears to be more receptive to Celeste. Might be better to let her take the lead on the question. Excuse me. We heard that you saw her on the day of the murder. Could you tell us more about what happened? Oh, you heard about that from your relative, did you? If you don't mind me asking, why are you so interested? She's not like Arya, is she? Oh, you know, I'm just curious is all. You know how uneventful life can be sometimes. Be noble and all. Alright, tone it down. Oh, is that all? I was worried you were going down the same path as that poor, confused Arya. What does she mean by that? But I'm in the middle of a study break anyway. I suppose I have some time to sate your curiosity. Construct, please prepare us some tea. Use that lotus tea we imported from the Eastern Kingdoms. She could be useful if I could win her favor. Acknowledge. Lotus tea? You have lotus juice? Feel like you're slowly losing control of this situation. You have lotus juice. I heard that you saw the professor on the day of the murder. Where did this happen? I was in the hallways when I saw her coming out of the headmaster's office. She was heading towards the library. You remember what time this happened? I'm not really sure, honestly. It's a little embarrassing, but I have a bad habit of getting too absorbed in my work. Sometimes I'll let entire hours pass by without noticing. Do you have a rough idea, at least? I think it was in the morning. She thinks it was in the morning? But anyways, did anything seem off about her? No, it was a short encounter. I merely greeted her, and she responded in kind. At least, that's what should have happened. Thought just now. Does it mean? Slowly glance at Celeste and catch her attention. In small motions, you shake your head to indicate that Mary was holding something back. Were you and the professor really on good terms? I heard she was pretty mean towards the other students. Towards the riffraff, maybe, but not to students like us. She was a great ally to House Frey, or at least she used to be. That's why we were planning on appointing her as the new headmaster. Wait, what did you just say? Did you just say that your family was going to appoint Bellwether as the new headmaster? Oh, I'm surprised you didn't know. Housebreaker holds several set seats on the Academy's board. We were making plans to have her replace that lout Redmond. They were going to sack the headmaster? Did Headmaster Redmond know about this? Of course not. It's a part of a large-scale plan. Along with Redmond, we're also going to replace all the staff members with arcane constructs. We had to keep everything under wraps, or else the help would have left prematurely. And where would that leave us? But Jan supposedly overheard Bellwether talking about the constructs. Bellwether prematurely revealed the plan? Or was Jan lying about how he found out? But alas, with Bellwether gone, we'll have to delay our plans. So, we heard that Arya took your rapier as evidence for this case. Can you believe her? She still won't give it back to me. My father will have my head if I can't get it back soon. How did he even become a part of this investigation anyways? I don't know. Arya won't tell me anything. I swear, that necromancer was the one who stole it. I'll execute him myself. So someone did steal it from me. Yes. From right out of my room. When did that happen? A few weeks ago. I noticed when I came back from one of my classes, someone removed the rapier from its display case in my room. How did they get into your room in the first place? Do you think someone used magic to teleport past the door? Please, I'm a master of conjuration magic. If someone attempted that, my enchantments would have shunted them out. This means that the thief came through one of the doors or windows. I bet it was that necromancer. I'm sure a sweet child like him knows how to pick a lock. I heard that you're one of the Academy's top students. Your grades must be amazing. Of course, as the inheritor of House Frege, my grades are impeccable. That's strange. I don't see anything contradictory through the eye this time. You make a gesture towards Celeste to continue pressing. Oh, what kind of magic do you study here? You must be joking. I study magic from the School of Conjuration. Just like most members of my house. The School of Conjuration. That's the kind of magic that specializes in spatial manipulation and teleportation, right? Yes, I consider myself quite the expert in that field. Why, the Crown Princess himself has asked for my assistance in a research study. It's nice to work with someone of my caliber. Again, don't see any thoughts that contradict what she's saying. Does that mean she's not lying? She's smart enough to get the Crown Prince's attention. Why would she be cheating? You see, it's something about my wayward relative before. Are you talking about Arya? Oh, I'm terribly sorry if I offended you. I'm sure it must pain you to see the way she's been acting lately. Yes, it's been extremely hard. Hang in there, Celeste. Did you know that she even interrogated me about the murder yesterday? Can you believe it? A steel wind running around a crime scene like a common night. Why, if I tried something like that, my father would disown me. Does the nobility not approve of Steelwind becoming a prosecutor? I've always thought that it's strange. What is motivating her to do this? Honestly, she probably thinks she can do anything just because of her betrothed. Celeste's eyes perk up upon hearing this. You'd be lying if you weren't also curious about who this Aster is. But you shoot her a stern look that tells her to stay focused. Can't risk blowing your cover with some gossip. You have an arcane construct in your room. I thought they only had them in the library and locker room. This is a construct. This construct is a gift from House von Scientists. I have to say, they're quite convenient to have around. They look really cool, and maybe I should get one. Ah, well, sorry, that's Celeste. They look really cool. Maybe I should get one. You should. A construct would be far more useful than this attendant of yours. Unfortunately, there are still some issues with their intelligence. Their intelligence? There are issues when you give them complex commands. Might be easier to show you. Miriam turns to the construct and begins gesturing towards it. Construct, please retrieve my textbooks and bring them here. Then, cast Steelwind Strike at this location. After that, retrieve some plates and set them out at this table. Acknowledged. What? Construct stands up and retrieves Miriam's textbooks from one of the shelves in the room. It brings them to the table you're sitting at, just like she ordered. But then, it suddenly stops moving. Wait, what happened? The construct obviously can't cast Steelwind Strike, so my second command was impossible to carry out. Ah, Kaiser, hello! Welcome to the stream! You're doing well. But did you notice something else? It ignored your third command too. Correct. My third command was possible to carry out. Oh, thank you for being here, by the way. Have you played this game before, by the way? Correct. My third command was possible to carry out. So why did it ignore that command? Constructs execute a series of commands in order that they are given. But let's say one of those tasks is impossible to complete. When the construct gets to that task, it will deem the entire series impossible to complete. Nope, but I am pretty interested in it. Ah, well, if you played Ace Attorney before, any of the Ace Attorney games, like from 1 to 6, you're going to like this one a lot. Like, this game is strongly inspired from the AA games. Very, very strongly. Very, very strongly. But, so yeah, if you want like an alternative to the Ace Attorney series, and, well, if you actually miss Ace Attorney because, you know, There hasn't been a new game for the long while, just the re-releases on consoles and PC. And this will fit quite well. This will fit quite well. As a result, it will stop executing the series altogether. So if a task in the series of commands is impossible, then that command will interrupt the sequence of commands. Exactly. Construct logic limitations, but added to your notes. Lady Steelwind, I'm afraid we must leave now if we want to make our next engagement. Oh, right. Let's go, servant. Oh, leaving already? It was a pleasure talking to you. Yeah, sure. I hope to see you around. You make your way back to the foyer with Celeste. All the time you spent, only have a brief amount of time before night falls. Are you sure you didn't want to talk to her more? We're getting a lot out of her. Already got a lot of useful information out of her. The more time you spend with her, the more likely she's going to see through our ruse. Right. So, why Steelwind? I don't know. I panicked. Arya's like the only noble I know. What about Pierce? I'm not using that creep's name. Well, hopefully Steelwind doesn't mind us borrowing her name. And we got her statement on what she saw that day. And there's also what she said about her rapier. I bet she was lying when she said it was stolen. She was probably trying to establish an alibi. I'm not so sure. Why'd you say that? Doesn't it feel too obvious? If she was lying about the rapier being stolen, it would imply that she planned all of this in advance. But if she had to choose a murder weapon, why would she choose something that literally has her name on it? I'd understand if the murder was a spur-of-a-moment decision. She might have just used something nearby in this case. But if this was a premeditated murder committed by Miriam, that rapier would be the last weapon she would choose. Right. I guess that makes sense. There's also the evidence of academic dishonesty. It doesn't match up with what we heard from Miriam. You mean all that stuff about working with the Crown Prince? She's probably just making things up to look good in front of me. I have an insight when it comes to things like this. Under no normal circumstances, I can usually tell when someone is lying. And a lie is it grandiose? As grandiose as that would be something I would definitely see through. People can subconsciously shield themselves from the eye of Horus, even if they don't know him. When they do that, you usually can't see any thoughts from them. You also saw that she was lying about her encounter with Belwen. You would have seen dissonant thoughts if she was lying about her grades. Well, I guess I'll trust your insight. But what does this mean? I don't know. Even with everything we found, I'm not sure who the real culprit is. At the very least, I think we should still try to pull Miriam onto the stand. If she testifies in court, I might be able to find something I can use. That's a big maybe. If you don't play your cards right, you might spook up the Fregas enough for them to pay off the judge. Either way, it's getting late. Probably have to turn in soon. Yeah, just hope you did enough to acquit Wallace. Alright, we're done with the investigation. And now, it's time to head to the courtroom. Court is now resumed for the trial of Wallace Nightgrave. Let us review the proceedings from yesterday. It was revealed that the trace of necromancy may have not been left by the defendant. It may have been left by a witness who used necromancy to attempt to heal the victim. However, the victim was seen by witnesses well after her time of death. This could only be explained by the defendant using necromancy to animate the victim's body. This leaves the question, where did the murder take place? Does the prosecution have an answer for this? Based on the testimonies of several witnesses, it is very likely that the murder took place in the library. Interesting. What led you to this conclusion, Miss Steelwind? First, I'd like to remind the court where the victim was sighted before the body was found. It began when the victim had a meeting with the headmaster near the center of the building. Our meeting was scheduled for 12 p.m. According to my schedule for that day, our meeting lasts for an hour. This brings us to the statement of the next witness, a student at the academy. The student saw the victim walking in the hallways. I saw her coming out of the headmaster's office. She was heading towards the library. Which means that our first witness saw Bellwether leave the headmaster's office. Presumably, that would have happened after her meeting there. That would time this encounter at around 1 p.m. The other event is the discovery of the body, which was when Valentina Ianus contacted security. I suddenly spotted the professor lying in a pool of blood in the classroom. Valentina used a communication device to call for help. Valentina used a communication device to call for help while I tried to save her. We already established this event occurred at 3:04 p.m. But the significance of this time is in what occurred before the body was discovered. The second witness, a member of the cleaning staff, spotted the victim in the West Wing hallway. Bellwether knocked the vase, and there were shards and dirt everywhere. It's probably 20 to 30 minutes before the twins found the body. This means the encounter... Okay, we already saw that. And this implies that the victim was near the library between 1 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. According to the defendant's statements, he was in the library during this time period. Furthermore, the time of death was at 2:07 p.m. That means that Mr. Hughes saw the victim's animated body. I see. Your dedication certainly tracks, Miss Steelwind. What do you have to say in your defense, Mr. Cuthbert? Prosecution's argument is definitely well thought out. However, it is entirely predicated on the testimonies of all the witnesses involved. And since your conversation yesterday, you've had a feeling that Miriam is hiding something. You want to go get the truth. If you want to go get to the truth, you will need to drag that out of her through a cross-examination. Your Honor, to test the validity of these items. The defense would like to have both of these witnesses to testify. The defense calls Miriam Frege to the stand. Frege? On the mention of her name, the judge's face turns a bit pale. I had a feeling it would come to this. Do you have any objections, Miss Steelwind? I do not, Your Honor. Very well. Okay. Bailiff, please escort Lady Frege to the stand. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the... You little snakes! Dare you deceive me? Oh, it looks like she found out. Another opportunity to brief the witness beforehand. Miss McCoy, for the record, I told you to exercise discretion. I did not mean that you should impersonate. I did not mean that you should impersonate a member of my family. Yeah, sorry about that. I gave you all the tea I imported from the Eastern Kingdoms. I demand you to return it to me. No, you gave them to me. No, you gave it to me. They're legally mine. I'm not sure what this business with the viewers is. But I'd like to ask you to please handle your personal dispute outside the classroom. Anyways, Miriam, could you please testify to the court about your encounter with the victim? Very well. Witness testimony. I was working on a research project in my dorm room when I decided to take a break. I left my room and went on a walk. That's when I saw Professor Bellwether exiting the headmaster's office. She was walking in my direction, so I greeted her and she responded in kind. After that, she headed towards the library. A short time after that, I went back to my dorm and continued my work. I see. So it was only a brief encounter. Hopefully brief was the only... It was that witness's testimony verifies two things. One, that Miss Frege saw the professor exiting the headmaster's office. The other is that she witnessed the victim head towards the library. This gives us a rough timeline of where the victim was before her death. That does seem consistent. Did Bellwether really enter the library that day? You feel like you wouldn't have seen her if she did. Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination. was working on a research project in my dorm room when I decided to take a break. I was working on a research project in my dorm room. Interesting. I was working on a research project in the dorm room where I decided to take a break. Okay, let's press. Was the reason of the research project part of your schoolwork? It was an independent study to develop a new conjuration spell formula. The project is being sponsored by the Crown Prince himself. I wasn't aware that he was involved in such a study. Of course you wouldn't. Did you expect to know every aspect of his life, dear Arya? You sense a bit of aggression. As if His Highness would ally himself with your rapacious family. Our banking houses from the economic infrastructure of our kingdom. But perhaps he'll come to the Steel Winds if he needs to clear a den of goblins. With all due respect, may we please focus on the matter at hand? Of course, Your Honor. Okay. Left my room and went for a walk. That's why I saw Professor Bellwether exiting the headmaster's office. Okay. And you're sure that you saw her exit in the headmaster's office? Yes, I remember it clearly. William Frege? I was surprised that she was still meeting with the headmaster at all. Do you interact with the professor at all, Miriam? She was walking in my direction, so I greeted her and she responded in kind. Let's press that. Did anything seem off about her? No, but it was a very short encounter. It's not as if we stopped to have a conversation. You said that you You said that you greeted her, and she stopped, and she responded, sorry. What words did she use? What words did she use? Wait, why is that important? Miss Freya, it is possible that someone used illusion magic that day. Every detail about the victim's interactions could be important. Well, I bid her good morning, and she said good morning in response. So this is the future, huh? We're just gonna meet each other and I say good morning and the other person says good morning and then we go by our usual day. Or maybe you can actually do it at nighttime as well. Like for example, someone coming out of a club, meeting someone walking on the street, you just say good evening or good night. And then, I don't know, what the other person is probably puking from drinking too much. Alright, let's press this. Did you see her enter the library? I didn't, but there's not much else in that direction. From the testimony of Jan Hughes, we know that she later came from the library. From the testimony of Jan Hughes, we know that she later came from the library. Even if she didn't enter the library, she was still in that area for more than 1 hour. How long did you leave your dorm? Oh, only a few weeks. Only a few minutes. I try not to let my breaks go for too long. And you didn't see the professor again after your first encounter? No, I did not. Testimony seems pretty forward, but she could still be lying. Not sure. I have to focus on her statements about how Bellwether acted. Alright, let's see. My room. Okay, let's see. After that, she headed towards the library. Her testimony seems pretty straightforward, but she could still be lying. I'm not sure. We'll just have to focus on her statements about how Bellwether acted. Okay, let's see. Should be this one, right?
Objection!
Hmm. What shall we actually give them? Or give her? So that she headed towards the library.
Objection!
Let's see.
Objection!
No, that's not the one. Well, it's a good thing we don't lose health here. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Objection!
Oops, that's the wrong one. See. Maybe this would be the one?
Objection!
Oh, there we go. Miss Freya, if I recall correctly, you have a habit of getting absorbed in your work. So much so that you even lose track of time of the day. Yes, but what does that have to do with my testimony? Earlier in today's proceedings, the prosecutor made the following argument. Our first witness saw Bellwether leave the meeting with the headmaster. That would time this encounter to 1 p.m. Miss Frege, if you had said good morning to the professor, would have been mistaken, because that encounter could have only happened during the afternoon. And your point is? You said it yourself, Mr. Cuthbert. The witness simply lost track of time. What the witness said isn't what's important here. The significance is what the professor said in response. He had just come out of a meeting that was scheduled for noon. He would have been well aware that it was no longer morning. So why would she respond, "Good morning"? Wouldn't she have corrected the witness? Their encounter was extremely short, and the victim's mind may have been preoccupied. She could have easily responded to the witness without thinking. I'm going to be honest, I kind of agree with her. It's not hard to believe that they were both confused about the time. It's definitely a stretch. I still can't shake the feeling that she's hiding something. Every time you ask her about how Bellwether acted that day, the eye picks up something. There has to be something in there. Miss Freya, you haven't been entirely truthful in your testimony, have you? That's absurd. What reason would I have to lie? Such a small detail. Why does he even care? Every detail about how she acted is important, Miss Freya. What aren't you telling us? Mr. Cuthbert, you have no basis to accuse the witness of perjury. Yes, you will stop this at once. Miss Freya, you were lying about how Bellwether responded to your greeting, aren't you? Does it make a difference? All she did was yell at me. All she did was yell? Miss Freya, is it possible that Bellwether's response was less than friendly? But why do you care? What difference does it make? Why is he so persistent? My job is to make sure every part of your testimony is truthful. Every detail matters, no matter how seemingly insignificant. Mr. Cuthbert, you will stop this, or I will find you in contempt. The professor yelled at you, didn't she, Miss Freya? So what if she did? I'm sorry. There's no going back on what you just said. So, you do admit that she yelled at you? You imperative little... Yes, I admit it. The professor didn't greet me back that day. Oh, good morning, Professor. Be quiet. She yelled at me to be quiet. But until then, we had always been nothing but courteous with each other. I don't know what got into her that day. Something put her in a foul mood. But that's it. Everything else I said was the truth. You'll believe me, right? I did see her come out of the headmaster's office and walk towards the library. That part is true. So, she wasn't lying about that. So, is that all, Mr. Cuthbert? What do you mean, is that all? You badgered this witness. Also, you can prove what exactly? The witness committed perjury. The witness changed a small detail of her testimony, a detail that is inconsequential to the case. It was clearly an act with no malicious intent. After seeing her thoughts, it's hard to disagree with that. You were so sure that the eye would lead you somewhere, but Freya was only lying to save face. The witness saw the victim leave the headmaster's office and head toward the library. Do you have any concrete evidence to refute that, Mr. Cuthbert? No, I suppose I don't. But wait, is this really okay? At this rate, this will be the only chance you have to cross-examine her. I don't think she's lying anymore. She's really pushing my luck earlier. To continue pressing her, the judge might actually charge me with contempt. If Miriam isn't the one lying, then... The defense has no further questions for the witness, Miss Steelwind. The prosecutor stays silent for a while. She almost looks disappointed. Very well. Miriam, You are dismissed. Miriam still looks like she's fuming, but she leaves the room without protest. The judge breathes a sigh of relief as the young noble is escorted out of the room. Now with that out of the way, what else do you have, Mr. Cuthbert? The only way to refute the prosecutor's theory is to cast doubt on one of the witnesses. Was it Miriam, then? Steelwind, just your theory. We must question every witness that saw the victim that day. So with that said, the defense would like to call Jan Hughes to the stand. Help me understand, Mr. Cuthbert. Your entire case rests on the assumption that one of the witness accounts is incorrect. If your cross-examination of Mr. Hughes leads nowhere, then I hope you're ready to concede. I don't like the sound of it. She's right. Unless you can find something in Jan's testimony, you won't really have anything to disprove her theory. Bailiff, please bring in Mr. Hughes. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the courtroom. Witness, name and occupation.
Right. My name is Jan Hughes. I'm on the cleaning staff of the Academy.
Mr. Hughes, please testify to the court about what your encounter with the professor that day.
Sure.
Witness testimony. All right, let's see what Jan has to say.
I saw the professor when I was cleaning the West Wing hallways. It was 20 or 30 minutes before the body was discovered. She walked by me. She looked pretty out of it. I heard that she was undead when this happened. Pretty creepy if you ask me. After that, she went into an empty classroom.
Well, that was straightforward.
Come on, Jan. What are we supposed to do with that? I don't know. You guys are the lawyers. I'll just tell you what I saw. Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination.
How are you so sure that it was 30 minutes before?
I always check the time to make sure I'm on schedule. I was supposed to finish cleaning the halls by 3 p.m.
Right. Body was discovered at 3:04 p.m. What was the professor like, Mr. Hughes? Did anything else look off about her?
I mean, yeah. She was an undead after all.
That remains to be proven.
If you say so.
Anyways, what was her demeanor like?
It looked like she was in a bad mood. Either that, or she was tired. I guess she was just dead inside. Literally.
I believe you've forgotten a few details about what the professor did.
Yeah? Sorry. It's hard to remember these things sometimes.
Which detail you should ask him? Did she interact with you at all?
Oh, yeah. Didn't notice her at first, and I accidentally gone in her way. She shoved me to the side and kept walking forwards.
This detail could be extremely important. Please add it to your testimony, Mr. Hughes.
Whatever you say, man. And after that, she went into the empty classroom.
Did you see anyone else enter that classroom?
Honestly, not sure. Wasn't paying much attention to her. I did think it was weird that she went in there. With the funky smell, can't think of anyone would go there willingly.
Right. Headmaster's mistake to put a rancid smell in that room. He's not giving us a lot to work with. He tends to leave out details unless we directly ask him about it. We just need to ask him the right questions. Maybe we can pull more information out of him.
Into the empty classroom. Let's see. Hmm. Empty classroom. Let's see. Let's look back. Yeah, that she went to do. I heard she was undead. It's pretty creepy because she pushed me out of the way. Hold on. Oops, sorry. Let's talk to him again. Did she make any sounds? Did you hear her make any sounds? Oh, yeah. After she knocked over the vase, she yelled at me to be quiet. And it didn't even say anything. This detail could be extremely important. Please add it to your testimony, Mr. Hughes. Whatever you say, man. I heard she was undead. It's pretty creepy because she yelled at me.
What's going on here?
Objection!
No, that's not the one. I'm almost getting it. Be this?
Objection!
Nah, that's not the one. To read that. Do this?
Objection!
Oh, okay. Mr. Hughes, you said that Bellwether yelled at you. What were her exact words? I think she yelled at me to be quiet. What? That was weird. I didn't even say anything. I know better than to talk back to her. That's the thing, Hughes. Prosecution's theory is as such. Professor was murdered in the library and was reanimated using animate corpse. The quick illusion spell, no one would notice that she was undead. However, what you saw was truly the undead Bellwether. How did she speak to you? Huh? This doesn't make any sense. Mr. Hughes, undead can follow simple orders, but they don't have the intelligence to speak. Perhaps the witness was mistaken. No! I'm sure I heard her yell at me. I remembered because what she said didn't make any sense. Exact. He didn't say anything, but she still yelled at him to be quiet. Wait a minute. I'm afraid I don't understand. We've already established that the victim was dead long before the encounter with Mr. Hughes. What he saw that night wasn't an undead. Or was it? It had to be an undead. What other explanation is there? Couldn't have been a major illusion. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been able to shove Jan out of the way or knock the vase. Whatever it was someone probably used illusory disguise to make it look like Bellwether. Does that mean it was a person? No. If it was a person, then how did Bellwether's body end up in the lecture hall? Bellwether wouldn't have been able to turn herself invisible if she was dead. And whatever Jan saw, it needs to be something that could have transported Bellwether's body unseen. Would have to also need to have a mass and the ability to speak. What created Bellwether's voice? At the very least, it needs to be something that could recreate Bellwether's voice. What could have done that? We made your illusion. Ah, this one? No. There we go. It. You have an answer for us, Mr. Cuthbert? What did the witness actually see? Your Honor, the witness didn't actually hear the dead victim speaking. What he actually heard was her voice being recreated using magic. Are you trying to say that her voice was recreated using a spell? Not a spell, Steelwind. It was artificery. Whoever the murderer is, they had the perfect piece of artificery available to them. One programmed with Catherine Bellwether's voice. Can't possibly mean... That's right, Steelwind. What Mr. Hughes saw was an arcane construct. An arcane construct? Think of it as a magically animated suit of armor, Your Honor. But we ruled out such a possibility, hadn't we? Construct or not, no one could disguise themselves and carry the body to the classroom. A person wouldn't have been able to do it. But arcane constructs are a different thing entirely. Those suits of armor are extremely large. More importantly, they're hollow. I see. That means, theoretically, someone could have placed the victim's body inside it. The arcane construct wouldn't just transport the body. An illusory disguise could also confuse and mislead anyone who saw it.
Objection!
I commend your deduction, Mr. Cuthbert. Would have never considered that possibility. Certainly plausible. What does this prove exactly? It proves that the body wasn't animated using necromancy. My client isn't the murderer. The defendant is still capable of performing all of the acts you describe. His compendium contains illusory disguise, after all. There were several students in the library that day. Any of them could have committed the murder. One might come to that conclusion if they didn't have one crucial piece of evidence. I'd like to present a new piece of evidence to the court. At her table, you see Miss Steelwind pull out the bloody rapier. Blood? Is that Yes, Your Honor. This is the murder weapon. She was saving that for the perfect moment, wasn't she? This rapier was reported stolen by Miriam Frega weeks before the murder. And during the investigation, it was finally found in the defendant's locker. Wait! He was clearly trying to use one of her possessions in a paltry attempt to frame her. Why, he even stole her locker's nameplate and placed it over his. Damn it. That's not what happened. Honestly, it sounds more plausible than what really took place. We're basically back to square one, aren't we? Anyone could have told that construct to do all these things. Wait, anyone? Is that really true? Construct transported the professor's body. Someone used an illusion to make it look like that. They even used a pre-recorded voice to match the illusion to make the illusion more convincing. Who ordered the construct to hide the body? Could anyone have done that? Yes. And that is Miriam. Could it be the headmaster? There we go. Several memories flood back to you. Mr. Hughes, you said that Miss Bellwether yelled at you. What were her exact words? I think she yelled at me to be quiet. She yelled at me to be quiet. But until then, we had always been nothing but courteous with each other. I don't know what got into her that day, but something put her in a foul mood. Be quiet! Sorry. Be quiet! Eris begins giggling. She seems amused by what's happening. The construct's voice is just a series of pre-recorded messages. I'm not sure if you noticed, but it uses the voice of Professor Bellwether. Unfortunately, he can't make them say anything other than what's recorded. Only the headmaster can change those settings. No, it can't be him. Well, what is it? What is it, Tyrion? Did you figure out something out? I did. Is he seriously the one behind all of this? Miss Steelwind, earlier you said that my client could have out-orchestrated this entire ruse, but that simply is not true. How so? Anyone could have ordered the construct to carry the victim's body. Yes, but not everyone can change what the constructs are able to say. Astros, I'm sorry, but how can I say this? I know I didn't mention this in the rules yet, but please no self-promotion in the chat. Please no self-promotion in the chat. Only one individual has the credentials for that. Theodore Redmond, headmaster of the Imperial Academy. Wait, you're not serious, are you? You think the headmaster did all of this? I don't want to believe it, but he's the only person who could have done it. That's completely ridiculous. Headmaster Redmond would never do something like this. Miss Steelwind, there is only one common element between each of the witnesses' encounters with Bellwether. It's what Bellwether said to them. She yelled at both of them to be quiet. Miriam Frege was particularly surprised. She had no good relationship with the professor, but when greeted by the professor, Bellwether just shouted at her, almost as if the professor was responding indiscriminately. And recall her encounter with Jan Hughes. The professor knocked down a vase and shouted at him to be quiet immediately after, even though he hadn't said anything. She was responding to the sound of the vase breaking. Now let me ask you this, Steel Wind. Where did Bellwether come before she encountered Miss Frega and Mr. Hughes? Her meeting with the headmaster. It appears the defense truly means to indict Theodore Redmond. If so, we have no choice but to take a brief recess until he can be brought here. There is no need. Fortunately for you, I'm already in the gallery. Headmaster stood up from the gallery seats behind you and slowly walked onto the witness stand. Has he been here the entire time? No. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Cuthbert. But do you think I am the one who committed this crime? Sorry, Redmond. No matter how I looked at it, everything I found points to you. Excuse me. No, there's no need to apologize. In fact, I should commend you on the lengths that you are going to defend dear Wallace. The court appreciates your understanding, Mr. Redmond. Now then, to clear the air, I suppose I should give you my testimony on what happened that day. That day, I had a meeting scheduled with the professor at noon. She showed up at the expected time. We discussed various administrative matters. Our meeting went for an hour, which she left to prepare for her next class. Despite our many disagreements, we still knew how to be civil with one another. After all, I had no reason to bear a personal grudge against her. I just can't see it. He seems like such a nice person. Is he really the person we're looking for? He has to be. No one could have orchestrated this entire plot. Just need to find out how. Why? Really? Even after the way she's acted towards the students and faculty? Make no mistake, I've heard many complaints regarding her actions. I've had many conversations with her to try to correct her behavior. But at the end of the day, she was a remarkable woman. Regardless of her lack of people skills. This testimony pretty much matches what we know so far. I'm not entirely sure if he's lying, but at the very least, we know that he was involved in the professor's murder. But why? To figure out his motive, might be able to find out how to reveal him to the court. So we should be pressing on all of them, but I feel like this. Where is it? Where is it? This one? There we go, yeah. Redmond, did you really hold no animosity toward Professor Bellwether? Of course not. I did have strong opinions about her methods of teaching. I always remained professional. We both did. Frankly, I found that hard to believe. In fact, I think you might have had a very good reason to murder the professor, considering that she was going to take your job. What? So, knew about that. I'm sorry, but I don't follow. Just how was the professor going to take the headmaster's job? According to Miriam Frega, Catherine Bellwether was currying favor with the noble families. In fact, there was a plan to oust Mr. Redmond and appoint Bellwether as the new headmaster of the academy. What? But in any case, I doubt that the headmaster had any idea of this until now. I'd like to remind the court of the witness's reaction just now. He said, "So you knew about that." His reaction was one of surprise. But he wasn't surprised by this information. He was surprised that I knew this information. That's... Please, dear Arya. I may be a frail old man. I'm perfectly capable of defending myself. You have an explanation, Mr. Redmond, and by all means, I'd love to hear it. Gladly. It is true that I knew about Frégus's plot beforehand. I only just learned about it. On the day of the murder, the professor told me about her plan. She was going to replace me as headmaster, replace the staff with her arcane constructs. You might say this would have given me the perfect motive to murder the professor. However, the supposed murder weapon was stolen from Miss Frege. This happens weeks before the murder. My discovery of the professor's treachery. I had no knowledge of their plan before she told me. Therefore, known to steal Miss Frege's weapon in an attempt to frame her. Are you satisfied now, Mr. Cuthbert? There is no way the headmaster could have come up with this plan. If he really did do this, that means he stole the rapier too, right? Most likely. His alibi makes sense. He couldn't have planned this whole thing unless he knew about Bellwether's plans. That would mean he knew about this weeks ago. How did he even find out? The best way to tell a convincing lie is to leave a lot of truths and only change one detail. Maybe Bellwether did tell him, but she actually told him weeks ago. The question is, how do you prove that? Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination. Alright, let's press. So you only learned about it recently? Doesn't it seem a bit too convenient for you? It may appear that way, yes. But that must have infuriated you. Your colleague betrayed you and attempted to steal your job. Only human. Of course, I was taken aback. I've been the headmaster of the Imperial Academy for decades. To think that the professor and the board would go around my back like that. Why, with the professor dead, you won't have to worry about losing your job. At least, not for a while. And I suppose you're correct. There are others who benefit too. The faculty staff is now aware of the Fregus plot. The plot delayed, don't need to worry about abruptly losing their jobs either. What happens if you prove that Redmond is the killer? You lose your job and House Frege will appoint someone else. No, you can't think about that now. If you don't prove Redmond's guilt, the court would convict Wallace. As the headmaster, you probably have the tools available to get into her room. Yes, I will admit that. The Academy has a master key that could be used to enter each of the students' dorms. And yes, as headmaster, I have access to that key. You had the perfect way to get into her room and steal the rapier undetected. Suppose I did. However, there's one flaw with your logic. It was my understanding that the Fregus wanted to keep this a secret until the very end. Why would Bellwether, of all people, tell you about her betrayal? I imagine she wanted to taunt me with that information. We long had our disagreements, and looking back, she may have resented me for that. At that point, there wasn't anything I could do to stop her. Really? I thought you and the professor were on good terms. I thought so too. But I suppose it was all a facade. She was just biding her time until she could take my position as headmaster. He had to know about Bellwether's betrayal weeks ago. Right. Question is, how do we prove it? you have something that proves that he knew about it before the day of the murder? Could it be this?
Objection!
Oh, this is probably not the right. I mean, not the right statement. Oh wait, hold on. Maybe we can present the last one with this.
Objection!
No? Maybe... Oh, there we go.
Objection!
Oh, that's the wrong one.
Objection!
Let's check Bellwether's plan again. With Theodore and place him with Catherine Bell. They were planning on it was supposed to be, but according to Jan, a few weeks ago. There we go. Redmond, keep saying that you didn't know about Bellwether's plot before yesterday. Do you still plan on standing behind that claim? Of course I am, because it's the truth. I'm sorry, Redmond. You should really close your doors during your meetings. What? It's true that Bellwether revealed her plan to you during one of your meetings. In fact, Jan Hughes happened to overhear that same meeting. They only overheard the part where the staff would be replaced. That's the strangest part, Redmond. According to Mr. Hughes, this meeting occurred weeks ago. You can't accuse the headmaster of perjury based on a rumor. Everything you just said is based on second-hand information. Mr. Hughes distinctly overheard that the staff would be replaced with arcane constructs. That is too specific and too accurate to assume that he misheard a different conversation. The professor probably only revealed her plan for the arcane constructs. That still doesn't prove that he knew about the treachery beforehand. Professor Bellwether had no authority over the cleaning staff's employment. It wouldn't make sense for her to just reveal her plan for the arcane constructs. Only makes sense if he knew that Bellwether would be taking his job. So tell me one thing, Redmond. Why did you find the need to lie about this? Is it because you saw a need to protect yourself from my accusations? Redmond, I asked you a question. Did you murder Catherine Bellwether? The fine mess this is. Not done. Yet. Headmaster? So, you truly planned on pushing this, are you? Well, your thesis sounds promising, Mr. Cuthbert, but I believe your arguments could use a little work. You think I killed Catherine Bellwether? Me? I'm an elderly man in his late 80s. I was alone and had nothing to overpower Bellwether with. I can barely walk, much less wield a rapier. Yeah, you could do that, but the arcane constructs can. But you and Bellwether weren't the only people in the room, were you? You needed the arcane construct to carry Bellwether's body. That means the construct would have been already in your office. Under your privileges, could have easily programmed the construct to stab Bellwether. Even so, think about what happened that would have transpired after. Recall Miss Hewlin's timeline of Bellwether's witness. Your theory, the construct would have spent more than an hour in the library. Having it there would have risked my so-called ruse from being discovered. Luckily, Lady Freyja can't tell night from day. I won't have the construct to linger around the library. Emotion? Redmond, what you're saying clearly doesn't match what you're thinking. And a weak assertion is that. How could you possibly know what I'm thinking? Let's use logic. Oh, dang. I use intuition. The timing deduced from Miss Freyja's testimony is predicted on one thing. She saw Miss Bellwether exit your office after your meeting. However, if we assume that you're lying about this meeting ended, your entire argument falls apart. Miss Freyja would have encountered Bellwether after her death at 2:01 p.m. Miss Freyja wouldn't have made a mistake like that. Miss Freyja thought it was morning when she saw Bellwether. She can't reliably tell time. Then, what about where the rapier was placed? If I really was the murderer, then that would mean I planted the weapon in the young Wallace's locker. Several of the students had lockers that I had access to. I wouldn't have placed incriminating evidence in that locker. This is one of my prized students. To frame anyone, who would be the last person I choose. You're right, Mr. Redmond. You wouldn't try to frame Wallace, but you would try to frame Miriam Freyja. It would have been the perfect act of revenge, wouldn't it? You murder your treacherous co-worker and frame the daughter of the family that helped her. But something went wrong, didn't it, Redmond? The labels on Wallace's locker and Miriam's locker were switched. Anyone who saw that would have easily mixed them up. I am the headmaster of the Imperial Academy. I have records of all the students' lockers and where they are located. There is no reason I would make a mistake like that. If I truly planned this, I would have known where Wallace's locker was. A simple change in labels wouldn't have led me to make a careless mistake like that. The construct. But it wasn't you, was it? Your arcane construct was the one who planted the rapier in the locker. I bet you commanded it to place this rapier in the locker of Miriam Freyja, but it saw the ID number on Wallace's locker and assumed it was Miriam's. This is... Redmond begins desperately stammering, looking for something to say. Steelwind, say something. What? Mr. Cuthbert, your theory may be plausible. There's no evidence to support it. Huh. That's right. You don't have any proof, do you? There is no evidence of my orders. Saying that I committed the murder isn't the same as proving that I did it. be this again? Your arcane construct is still in the locker room where it planted the rapier. All we have to do is take a look inside and we'll see the blood inside. Is that so, Mr. Cuthbert? Why does he look so confident? No, Mr. Cuthbert, I already checked the inside of that construct during my investigation. The interior was completely clean. What? Construct's primary function is to assist and clean, dear Tyrion. They have a function that allows them to clean themselves inside and out. Well, you can still look at its command history, right? Think about it, Mr. Cuthbert. You honestly think that the murderer would leave behind evidence like that? I'm sure that whoever orchestrated this plot, they ordered the construct to wipe its logs when it was finished. No. That's right, Mr. Cuthbert. Your case against me is theoretical at best. I suppose I can still give you marks for trying. Damn it, he thought of everything. Is he seriously able to get rid of all the evidence? Running out of options. But we still have one tool left. Huh. It's becoming to glare like that, young Tyrion. Still getting in. Think yourself back to that moment with Garrick Pierce. Think about what's at stake for Wallace, just like you did with Celeste. His life, his future, in your hands.
Naught can remain concealed.
Empowered Eye. We activated the Empowered Eye again. Redmond did a good job of covering his tracks, but there has to be something that he forgot to get rid of. Why was the construct in the locker room? It would have been there if it had followed my orders. No matter, it wiped its logs. They have nothing on me. So if he did order to wipe its logs, in order to cover all its tracks, it probably would have done this last. I did everything I could to house doubt on that one Fregus brat. Leave Valerie place a trace of necromancy on the body. Make matters worse, the construct placed the evidence in the wrong locker. So he did send the construct to the locker room to plant the evidence. So also fabricated the documents that accused Freyja of cheating. It was all to make her look like the murderer. That doesn't give you anything new to work with. Did everything I could to cast doubt on Freyja's brat. Oh, so that's not new. Let's see. We did give the evidence. The logic limitation. Construct's orders were clear. Plant the body in Lecture Hall 2B. Then plant the evidence in Freyja's locker. Supposed to head to the storage room afterward. What happened? Interesting. The construct wasn't supposed to be in the locker room? Wait, he ordered the construct to go to the storage room? I've done that after it was finished planting the evidence in the locker room. He put it in the locker room. What stopped the construct from leaving the locker room? Ah, yes. There was the lockdown system, right? Yeah, the lockdown system. Okay. Hold on. Where's the lockdown? Ah, there we go. That should be the one. Hey, body was probably reported earlier than Redmond expected. This means he probably started the lockdown before the construct was finished in the locker room. How did the lockdown affect the construct's actions? Brega's rapier was planted by Redmond. No, the lockdown prevented the construct. Would that have affected any of the elements playing at the time? Redmond's series of commands was interrupted by the lockdown. Right. A series of commands would have been interrupted. Wait a minute. Constructs execute a series of commands in order they are given. But let's say one of those tasks is impossible to complete. When the construct gets to that task, it will deem the entire series impossible to complete. As a result, it will stop executing the series altogether. So if a task of series and commands is impossible, that command will interrupt the entire series. Construct's final command was to wipe its memory. Its orders were interrupted by the lockdown. Then, Miss Steelwind, I have nothing more to ask this witness. What? You're not giving up, are you? You even have to ask? Yeah, thought so. How are you going to prove that he did it if he's not testifying? Don't worry. Next witness's testimony will be all I need. Next witness? Look on your face is not one of defeat. Just what are you planning? It's nothing but desperate bravado. Now, you'll excuse me. Let your quarry get away, Mr. Cuthbert. Hope you know what you're doing. I do, Miss Steelwind. First, I'd like for the Inquisition to bring the arcane construct in the Academy's locker. Already established that the murderer could have wiped its history. Please, just humor me for a second, Miss Steelwind. Very well. Bailiff, please relay Mr. Cuthbert's request to Commander White. I have the machine here. Well, here's your construct. You know what you're doing, Cuthbert. Construct! What are your orders? Please recite your command history. Reporting. Command 1. Standby in Headmaster's office. Command 2. Await vocal signal. Attack! From Theodore Redmond. Hear Redmond stand up from the gallery. Seeing this, the prosecutor watches him and carefully clutches the handle of her cane. Command 3. Treat Catherine Bellwether as hostile entity and neutralize. Construct. Wipe your... Before he can finish his sentence, the prosecutor points her cane at the headmaster. Magic energy shoots from it and collides directly with him. Magic wreaths around his body and stops him from moving. He's clearly trying to struggle against it. Looks like he can't even move his mouth. Misty Wind? Excuse the interruption. Please continue. Command 4. Await vocal sign. Leave from Theodore Redmond. Command 5. Move to classroom 2B. Reply to any inquiries with voice line 3. Command 6. Remove Catherine Bellwether from interior frame and place on floor. Thank you, Construct. You can stop now. I think we all know the rest. Just to be clear, who gave you this series of commands? Commands were provided by Headmaster Theodore Redmond. How? Wanted the construct to wipe its command history. Mr. Redmond, constructs don't follow the same logic that humans do. They're prone to error when their commands are impossible to execute. Possible? In what way were my commands impossible? You were the one who made it impossible. You activated the lockdown system. No? The body was found earlier than you'd like. You had no choice but to immediately activate the lockdown system when it was reported. However, the construct was still in the locker room when you did this. So that's why it was there. The construct finished its task in the locker room. Then it tried to follow your next command. It tried to move to the storage room, but it was prevented from doing so. Completion of that command was impossible. So, the series of commands was stopped before it wiped its history. Little Theodore Redmond, You ordered your construct to murder Catherine Bellwether. Then you had it place the murder weapon in a locker to frame Miriam Frege. We have your construct's testimony to prove it. And that's checkmate. I can't believe it. How could you do something like this, Headmaster? She was going to take everything from me. My position, my academy, my students. Everything would have been gone. It was going to be stolen by her and the Freges. Why didn't you say anything to me? I could have... Don't you dare stand there and act ignorant, Lady Steelwind. You think the Freges acted alone? Your father was part of this plot too. What? Nothing to say to you. You were different. I listened to your lies about societal reform. In the end, just like the rest of the aristocracy. The scale, Lord. What have I done? I was even willing to sacrifice poor Wallace. Can't believe Why did I do this? It appears we have a full confession. The court sees no reason to prolong this any further. Bailiff, please escort the witness to a holding cell. Mr. Cuthbert, you really did it! Feels amazing, right? Got the big weight lifted from your shoulders. It does, but I can't believe the headmaster was the one who did this. Right. Despite everything Redmond did, he was the one who allowed Wallace to pursue his dreams. I'm sorry. I'm sure this is bittersweet for you. What am I going to do now? Headmaster Redmond was the only reason I could even attend the academy. With him gone. Come on. Don't think like that. He got acquitted. Should it all work out? I want to agree, but necromancy is basically taboo. Without Redmond's support, there aren't many places he could learn it legitimately. Then there's the Imperial Academy. Hey! Don't you get all sad on me too. Sorry, I was just thinking. With Redmond gone, Fregus will probably appoint just another sycophant as the headmaster. Valentina, Valerie, Jan, all going to lose their jobs. Come on, you found the truth and you put a murderer behind bars. You saved Wallace. She's right. To start the exit in the courtroom, you were greeted by Miss Tamora. Was she in the gallery the entire time? At the end of the day, you saved Wallace from a wrongful conviction. You should be proud of yourself for that. I suppose you're right. Maybe I am just overthinking things, but the doubt still lingers in your mind. Now, come on. I'm taking Wallace to that restaurant we went to last time. Do you remember how much that place cost? Don't worry. I have plenty of gold. Am I the only one on this team not making any gold? Why don't you meet us there, Celeste? I need to talk with Tyrion for a moment. Alright. Let's go, Wallace. Okay. You activated the Empowered Eye again, didn't you? Doesn't appear to be praising. I did. Didn't really have a choice. The Eye of Horus is a powerful tool, Tyrion. But that's twice now you can use the Empowered Eye to get out of a tough spot. You can't keep relying on it if you want to grow as an attorney. One day, you'll find a witness that the Empowered Eye won't work on. Ah. Is she, like, trying to give us a hint on what's going to be in the next case? Worked for me this far, though. But I suppose you're right. I'll try to rely on it less next time. That marked the end of another case in my career as a defense attorney. Another life saved. The murderer brought to justice. I still couldn't shake this feeling of uneasiness. Was it guilt for what would happen to the faculty staff? Was it something else? Episode episode end. Oh, man, Steelwind has been talking with the perp for hours. So they're even asked at this point. Turns out she doesn't trust this testimony. Something about his memories not matching up with the crime scene. You don't think he has mage blight, does he? No, it's not that. She found that damn symbol etched into his desk. What'd she call it? Purple mark? Oh, for the love of... Not this again! Look, the lady wants to chase the boogeyman. Just let her. At least this time, she's doing it personally instead of dragging us into it. Fast sleep. Hey! What's up with... Who did this to your desk? What has gotten into you? Already admitted to everything. What more could you possibly want from me? Where did this graffiti come from? What is this symbol? What is this? What is the purple mark? I don't know. A student must have done it at some point. Think very hard, Headmaster. When did you receive this purple symbol? Focus on the moment you received this. Wait. Wait a minute. Remember it now. But how? Lady Steelwind? Lady Steelwind! Arya, what happened? You okay? That was close. My elation over meeting him almost made me forget. What are you doing here? Why? Wait. I remember now. It was you! You put those ideas into my mind. You're the one who told me to murder Bellwether. Oh. You humans never fail to amuse me. I didn't make you do anything. Everything you did that day, all the planning, all the preparation, came from your own mind. And I have to say, I was quite entertained with the scheme you came up with. Why, you even broke into Miriam's room. I didn't know you had it into you, old man. You made me forget about our conversation. But how? Illusions can't affect the mind. Magic can't affect the mind. It's a shame, though. I would have much rather turned Wallace into the antagonist of this chapter. Could you imagine if he turned? It would have been spectacular. Armies of the undead running rampant in the streets. But alas, even I couldn't corrupt his poor soul, his pure soul. Answer me. Who are you? What are you? Who am I? I'm the Lord of the Sixth Circle. Ah! Oh, did she kill him? Oh, shoot. Yeah, I pretty much thought that Eris was super sus, but that pretty much confirms it right now. She ain't no student. But probably an incarnation of the devil? I mean, because magic can also involve, like, summoning devils or demons or whatnot. So she could have been a demon masquerading as a human being. But it seems like it's not the last time we'll see it. But yeah, I guess that's the end of case 2. And let's see, how many cases do we have left? We have 5 cases. We have 3 more cases to go. And the next one should be the origins of Horus. Ooh, maybe we actually learn what the Eye of Horus is all about. Should be pretty interesting. Anyway, guys, I think I'm gonna have to call it a night. And I'll have to, as usual, thank you all for watching, either live or via the archives. Tomorrow will be the release of the much beloved and the much overused character that we'll see in 90% of online matches in Street Fighter 6, and that is Akuma / Goki. And just like the other characters in Street Fighter 6, he got a lot of sauce. So tomorrow, I'm pretty excited to see how his combos work, and we're gonna play some casual matches as well. Maybe I'll enjoy him as much as I did in Third Strike or in games like X-Men vs. Street Fighter. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, guys, take good care of yourselves, and I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful night, evening, or afternoon. And I will see you all very, very soon. Bye-bye. All right, hold on. Let me lower this. Okay. Now we get it. Bye-bye.